San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Atlanta Braves in the third game of a four-game series. It's the opener of a split doubleheader today in Atlanta. Our starting pitching matchup in our first game today for the Braves, right-hander Reynaldo Lopez, and for the Padres, right-hander Dylan Cease. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt inside our San Diego studios. First pitch in Atlanta is at 9:20 a.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, you'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also catch up with Gwynn Jr. in just a few minutes. Plus, we hear from Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez and today's starting pitcher in Game 1, Dylan Cease. But first, let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971, with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside. Padres entered today with a record of 24-24. Padres have had an interesting week. They got swept by the Rockies in a 3-game series, but then bounced back to beat the Braves on Friday and Sunday to win the first 2 games of this series. Meanwhile, the Braves are 26-16 coming in. Braves have lost 3 in a row, one to the Cubs on Wednesday, now 2 games to the Padres. After a rainout on Saturday, we had some good weather in Atlanta last night. The Padres took advantage.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
First inning, Jake Cronenworth put the Padres ahead.
Here's the 1-2. That's hit in the air, deep down the right field line. You want an extra base hit? You got it. 2-run, home run, Jake Cronenworth. Padres take a 2-0 lead on Elder and the Braves here in the top of the first inning. And Cronenworth, who had 3 hits on Friday night, homers in his first at-bat here tonight.
The rally continued. Manny Machado singled, Xander Bogaerts singled. That brought Jackson Merrill to the plate.
Elder continues to work to Merrill, and a line drive base hit into right field. Manny is rounding third on his way. Acuna's throw comes through, not in time. RBI single Jackson Merrill. A 3-0 Padre lead in the first, and now 4 straight 2-out hits.
The score stayed 3-0 for a while as Yu Darvish began his night with 3 scoreless innings. Padres bats got back to work in the top of the 4th inning. There were runners on first and second for Fernando.
2-2 to Tatis. Here's the pitch from Elder. And Fernando hits it in the air to right again. Deep again. Acuna back to watch. It'll hit off the padded wall. Kind of die right in front of the warning track. 1 run has scored. Second run coming. Throw to the plate. And in time, a rise is called out. Kim crossed the plate, so the Padres take a 4-0 lead. And we'll see if Mike Shildt wants to challenge whether or not Arise was able to score from first base or not.
After review, the ball is overturned. The runner is safe. San Diego keep their challenge.
And the nightmare continues here for Bryce Elder in the 4th inning.
So the Padres had a 5-0 lead. They weren't done. Jurickson Profar was next.
Elder comes set, not long for this night. Profar swings, lines it over Olsen. That's a fair ball down the line, going to go into the corner. Tatis will walk home. Profar's at second, thinking 3. Now he'll pull up. An RBI double for Jurickson Profar, and a 6-0 Padre lead in the 4th.
Padres would end up scoring another run later in the inning on a sac fly from Xander Bogaerts. A 4-run 4th inning. Padres had a 7-0 lead. Luis Campusano led off the 5th.
Here's the 1-1. Campusano hammers it in the air, deep down the left field line. It is hooking and fair. That's a home run. A line shot right inside the pole. And Campusano back home in Georgia. It's his 4th home run of the season. It is an 8-0 game here in the 5th inning.
The offense was one big story for the Padres. The other was Yu Darvish. He was through 6 easy scoreless innings at just 81 pitches. Padres struck again in the 7th. It was Ha-Sung Kim.
Kim launches this one to left field. Kelenic racing straight back. He will twist, he will turn, he will watch, and a home run. Kim dunks that one into the first row, his 2nd hit of the night, his 6th home run of the season, and a solo shot here in the 7th makes the Padre lead 9-0.
Yu Darvish went back to the mound for the 7th inning. He retired the side in order again. Darvish retired 13 in a row to end his outing. Final line for Yu, 7 innings, no runs, 2 hits. He struck out 9, 1 walk, 99 pitches, 70 of those pitches for strikes. Final score last night in Atlanta, Padres 9 and the Braves 1. Padres winning on Friday, Padres winning last night, and it sets them up very nicely for this doubleheader here today. Let's go to Truist Park in Atlanta.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
We check in with Tony Gwynn Jr. as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 9:20 this morning here in San Diego. And Tony, let's start with the offense. 14 hits last night, 13 hits on Friday. What do you like from what you've seen so far from the Padres offense in this series?
Well, last night in particular, they didn't chase, and when they got pitches to hit in the zone, they generally didn't miss them. And, there was a lot of discussion about the lack of extra base hits. The way I look at it, if you're able to string together hits, it doesn't matter if they're extra base hits or not. Yesterday, though, proved to be fruitful in all areas, it seemed like. Extra bases, homers. Padres put on a show offensively yesterday, and hopefully they can carry that into today's game. Today's games, I should say.
Yeah, today's games. We'll see how the Padres do offensively in Game 1. Let's talk about this pitching matchup here in Game 1. It's a really good one, Tony. Dylan Cease obviously has been really good for the Padres, but right-hander Reynaldo Lopez may not be a name that Padres fans necessarily know, but this guy Lopez, Tony, has been among the best starting pitchers in baseball so far. This is a dandy of a pitching matchup here in Game 1.
Yeah, it sets up to be a really good one, and the Padres have set themselves up to win a series by taking care of business the first 2 games. They've largely been able to do it without dipping into their bullpen a whole lot, and so it sets up well. At a game like this, the Padres should go in expecting that they need to play good baseball because runs between these 2 guys, I mean, you got Lopez is a 1.34, you got Cease at a 2.45, so runs are going to be at a premium. So you would go into this game expecting that we're going to have to be clean defensively, we're going to have to come up with some timely hits, and there shouldn't be a lot of runs scored in this game, and that's how they have to approach it.
Tony, let's talk a little bit about Xander Bogaerts in the midst of a 6-game hitting streak. He's 8 for 24 in the past 6 games. He hit some balls really hard last night. Didn't have a whole lot to show for it aside from 1 base hit. And I think I asked you a version of this earlier in the series, but let's revisit it. Xander, as of late, what are you seeing from him?
I'm going to repeat the same thing I said when you asked me earlier in the series. He has been showing signs of coming out of it. I mean, even tracking back to the last homestand, that last series, he hit some balls on the screws that he really didn't get a lot of love for. Yesterday was kind of similar. He's had a couple games like that, but it does seem like, especially on the fastball, he's starting to get his lower half connected to his upper half. And when you start to see that one-handed kind of whippy finish that we see from Bogey when he's going well, those are signs that he may be starting to come out of it.
You know, I was watching this morning, Tony, on MLB Network, a breakdown with Mark DeRosa and Billy Ripken, and they had a full segment on Xander's transition to second base. And it's interesting because I think at the time during spring training, I thought to myself, okay, well, I know it's a different position, but Xander will be able to handle it, and he'll go over there during spring training, get used to it. But I guess has somebody like me at least maybe underestimated how difficult a transition like that can be, going from the left side of the infield to the right side of the infield. And Xander, for the most part, has done a really nice job at second.
He has. And, I don't know that he was all that comfortable to start with. And I think over time, I mean, we've watched him grow more comfortable at the second base position. It's definitely a bigger transition than people think it is, right? I mean, the ball's coming from a completely different place than he's seen his whole career. Footwork is different in turning two, and that's even with a player not being able to slide into you like they used to. The footwork is still so much different, and I think it just took him some time to kind of get that all settled. And so you throw that on top of also trying to work through some things offensively, and you can kind of see how he's kind of had the slow start that he's had. But defensively, I think he's improved so much there at second base. He's getting to more balls than I think he was earlier in the year. The double play is seemingly getting easier and easier for him to turn and not have to think about much. And, the last piece is this offense that's starting to seem like it's opening up as well.
Well, hopefully a sign of things to come with Xander, what he's done these last 6 games. Tony, as always, appreciate the time. Little Padres and pancakes for us here on the West Coast on this Monday morning. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 9:10 a.m. Thanks so much.
No problem, Sam.
All right, that's Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us here on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Yes, a little Padres and pancakes. I see a comment on the video stream. Fryers and flapjacks. That works as well. But appreciate everybody tuning in on this Monday morning. Earliest pregame show I think we've had in a while. There was one on a Sunday, actually, in Atlanta. I think it was last year, where it was a little bit earlier because it was something like an 11:35 a.m. first pitch. But for a weekday, I think this may be the earliest EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show we've ever had. Rough schedule for the Padres. They played last night. They'll play 2 today, then get out of Atlanta, head to Cincinnati. Remember, the Padres don't have an off day until next Thursday. So a tough schedule here, but a really good opportunity today in Atlanta to win this series against the Braves. When we come back on our pregame coverage, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Plus, coming up a little bit later, we check in with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez and today's starting pitcher Dylan Cease. First pitch in Game 1 of today's doubleheader coming up at 9:20 on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for the opener of today's doubleheader in Atlanta. First pitch in Game 1 at 9:20. First pitch at Game 2 later today at 3:20. So we've got a long day of Padres baseball on the air here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. And we will have each and every pitch covered for you throughout the afternoon. Padres winning on Friday in Atlanta, winning on Sunday in Atlanta, and certainly in a very good position to win this 4-game series. But first things first, right-hander Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres in Game 1 against right-hander Reynaldo Lopez on the mound for the Braves in the opener in Atlanta. Let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
A big story for the Padres last night, the wonderful work of Yu Darvish, who has been absolutely sensational since coming off the IL. Darvish, since coming off the IL now in 4 starts, 24 innings, no runs given up, 10 hits. He struck out 24 and walked 3. If you go back even a little bit farther, he's now in a run of 25 consecutive scoreless innings. That is a career long for Yu Darvish. And last night in Atlanta, more of the same. 7 scoreless innings, 2 hits given up. He walked 1, struck out 9, 99 pitches, 70 of those for strikes. He was dominant once again. Mike Shildt spoke with the media after yesterday's win, and it begins with the comments on Yu Darvish.
And, Yu's been elite, the last 4 times out. He's been nothing short of magnificent. And we just go ahead and got to congratulate him, right? 200 career wins between Japan and the Major League Baseball. That is a impressive feat that is man, it's hard to even capture sometimes what he's done to be able to do that. You're talking about a dedication for a long time to his craft. Take care of himself. My respect for him is off the charts. I always appreciate longevity statistics like this. And, he's got his 200th win today, and it's just to tribute to a career that's still going. And let's stop and celebrate it. But what a magnificent accomplishment for you tonight.
The fact that at this point he's doing some things that he really hasn't even done before. I mean, he has a lot of runs since he's been back. What does that say about him? The fact that at 37 It says,
that he takes care of himself. He's dedicated to his craft. He has a great game plan. His preparation's fantastic. And then the pitches his fastball again. Where he wanted to throw it, slider, split were good. And then the 4th, he started throwing the slower curveball, and it was just masterful.
One of your points of emphasis has been the repeated good at-bats. That first inning was about as good as it gets all year, wasn't it? What did you think of it?
I thought it was representative of a lot of the innings we've had, and I thought it was representative of, first inning was fantastic, led right into the second. We couldn't score in the second, and then they just kept coming the rest of the game. Rise continues to be the table setter. I love Toddy's at bat. Even in the bat he flew out, he's moving a runner, and then the next time he drives the ball off the wall to help open the game up. And of course, Pro takes more good at bats, and Campy and Kimmy put some swings, and Bogey took some really good swings. The hard hit baseball to left, the sac fly to left that Kalinick made a nice play on. Then he had a rope to left the last at bat, so he's in a good place as well. And let's appreciate Manny's play early in the game. He dives on Arcia's ball down the line, keeps it from being a double. Next thing you know, he turns a nice double play on Kalinick and gets a clean inning. So just good baseball.
How important is it to get a long start out of your starter with a doubleheader looming the next day?
Yeah, it's very important. It's good for him to grab that 7 and clear, obviously as effective as he did, and sets us up for tomorrow with that doubleheader. So it was a big outing for Hugh for his milestone, and a big outing for our team for where we're at right now.
What do you want from you after this milestone?
More. More of the same. We'll go with the repeat sign on that. Just keep going. Keep being Yu Darvish. That's the thing that's so nice about having a pillar like you on your club that stabilizes your club, stabilizes your staff, and Wade prepares, Wade goes about it, but he takes the mound, what you're going to get, and it's going to give you a chance to more than compete to help win games, and so just continue to do that.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after yesterday's win in Atlanta. We'll hear more from Mike on our postgame show coming up after Game 1 and Game 2. So we'll have postgame press conferences from Mike Shildt after both games of today's doubleheader. Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 9:20 at Truist Park in Atlanta. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with the hot category for the Padres. A few guys in there right now. Luis Arraez, 2 more hits last night, currently in the midst of a 23-game on-base streak, which is now the longest of his career. Arraez is batting .343 in his past 23 games. Jurickson Profar, 3 more hits last night. Pro now in the midst of a 7-game hitting streak, 10 for 25 in that span. Last 22 games for Profar, batting .388 with 5 home runs and 16 RBIs. And this may be something I do every day right now. Tell you where Jurickson Profar ranks in the major leagues right now. 5th in batting average at .335 on the season. 3rd in on-base percentage at .422. 10th in OPS at .944. Profar continues to be terrific. Jackson Merrill also in the hot category. His last 6 games, 9 for 21. For the Braves, Marcell Ozuna hitting .395 with 3 home runs, 9 RBIs during a current 11-game hitting streak. He ranks 2nd in the major leagues with 41 runs knocked in so far this year. And we take a look at Ronald Acuna Jr. in the not category. It's been a rough early part of the season for Acuna. Just 5 for his last 37 in a span of 10 games. Acuna's batting just .242 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs so far this year. It's May 20th. A guy of Acuna's caliber has 11 RBIs. Tough to believe. And Acuna spoke with the media yesterday in Atlanta. He said, quote, "I don't know if it's timing or not, but right now I'm not that good." We'll see if Acuna does anything today against the Padres. You certainly hope not if you're a Padres fan, but Acuna has got off to a really rough start here in 2024. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for the opener of this doubleheader. When we come back on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, we'll hear from today's starting pitcher, Dylan Cease. Plus, a little bit later, I catch up with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez. We have our keys to the game and a deep dive into this pitching matchup between Dylan Cease and Reynaldo Lopez. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can tweet at me at SammyLev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there too, SammyLev. You can also comment on our fancy new video streams on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It is Padres and Pancakes, so I'd love to hear, how are you enjoying Padres baseball on this Monday morning? You got the coffee mug out, you got the pancakes, the waffles. What are you doing? Send me a photo, and I may just shout you out here on the air. First pitch coming up at 9:20 on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey guys, it's Wood.
Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres radio network. First pitch at 9:20 in Atlanta as we get ready for today's doubleheader, games 3 and 4 of this 4-game series between the Padres and the Braves. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We'll go out to Jesse Ackler and Tony Gwynn Jr. at 9:10. Let's update you on the injuries for the Padres and the Braves entering this twin billing.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Couple of updates to get to. Austin Riley, we've been talking about it throughout the weekend. He left last Sunday's game with left side tightness. He is still out of the lineup, at least in game 1 of this doubleheader. And based on the reports through the weekend, sounded like he wasn't necessarily swinging a bat yet. So I don't know that Riley's going to appear in this series. We'll see. He's not on the IL, but Austin Riley, again, out of the lineup today for the Braves. As far as the Braves bullpen, somebody we haven't seen so far in this series is right-hander Pierce Johnson. He was activated from the IL before the rainout on Saturday. Yes, that is the former Padre, but Pierce Johnson is back in the Braves bullpen from the IL. And finally, tomorrow in Cincinnati, Joe Musgrove scheduled to return from the IL and make that start to open up the 3-game series against the Reds. So that's certainly good news. Joe Musgrove scheduled to return tomorrow, and that is a look at our injury report on this Monday. Well, last week here on 97.3 The Fan on the morning show, Ben and Woods, Dylan Cease joined the program. So with Cease pitching today, wanted to revisit some of those comments. Here was Dylan Cease last week on working with Padres pitching coach Ruben Niebla.
You know, I think it really only took a couple weeks to build that trust to where now when he says something, it's like, all right, let's work on this. So, yeah, he's always got really good information, and he's been awesome to work with.
And a little bit more in depth, here was an example of the type of thing Niebla and Cease may work on from time to time.
I mean, sometimes it could be something as simple as like, I don't feel like my slider's in a good spot, and he'll go, well, the data's good, why don't you just try aiming it lower? And it's like, oh, yeah, okay. You know, it's like simple things like that where sometimes you can overthink it, or sometimes you can, think something and the numbers say something else. So it's just kind of keeping you on the right path.
And finally, here was Dylan Cease last week on some of what he does to mentally prepare for his starts.
There's a type of yoga called Isha Yoga. And I do some of the practices from there. On the mound, I'm just performing and, in the moment. But, yeah, off the field, I definitely do some meditation, some visualization, some yoga stuff.
Good stuff there from Dylan Cease, and Cease on the mound today for the Padres. We'll have much more on him coming up in our next segment during our pitching preview. I did want to run down some of our video comments, people enjoying Padres baseball on this Monday morning. We've got Jeffrey saying, got my coffee and some breakfast, super excited for 2 today. We've got Rod saying, Padres and breakfast tortas, thank you Lucy's Bakery on 31st and Imperial Avenue. Rod, hope you enjoy the game. Got another comment here. Profar was once the highest ranked prospect. Maybe it just took a while to reach his potential. Well, look, either way, Profar has been terrific this season for the Padres. We got into all the numbers during who's hot, who's not. We'll see what Jurickson does in game 1 of this doubleheader in Atlanta. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
Early game today on the East Coast, so everything is coming up a little bit later. Mets and the Guardians at 3:10 in Cleveland. That is Francisco Lindor's first game back in Cleveland since being traded to New York. Everything else on the schedule today, White Sox and the Blue Jays in Toronto at 12:07. Brewers and the Marlins at 3:40 in Miami. Twins and the Nationals in D.C. at 3:45. Red Sox and the Rays in Tampa Bay at 3:50. Mariners and the Yankees at 4:05 in New York. York. Tigers and the Royals in Kansas City at 4:40. Orioles and the Cardinals in St. Louis at 4:45. Angels and the Astros at 5:10 in Houston. And finally, the Diamondbacks in L.A. taking on the Dodgers at 7:10. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. On this Monday, we'll have much more on all those games as we go along throughout our pregame and postgame coverage this afternoon on the Padres Radio Network. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
Key number 1. Manny Machado. Manny, 2 hits last night. First time he's had multiple hits in the past 11 games. That followed a 10-game stretch where Manny went just 3 for 38. Manny's OPS right now this season at 620. And this was a note from Kevin Acee in the San Diego Union Tribune this morning. That's not just his lowest OPS 43 games into any of his 13 major league seasons, but it's the lowest he's ever had over any 43-game stretch in his career. So I bring it up to say this. Hopefully, last night, Manny, couple of hits. There were some good quotes in the newsletter this morning from Kevin Acee, from Manny, talking about how much fun he's having playing with this team in particular. Hopefully a sign of Manny starting to get it going at the plate. So Manny, as always, big key in any game for the Padres. That's key number 1. Key number 2. Xander Bogaerts, 6-game hitting streak after a base hit last night. He's 8 for 24 in the past 6 games. But even beyond that, Bogaerts put 3 balls in play last night that were all above 102 miles per hour in exit velocity. It was the first game this season where he put 3 balls in play at 100 miles per hour or greater. Another sign that maybe Xander is starting to come around. So Xander here today in game 1, key number 2. Key number 3, runners in scoring position. The Padres went 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position last night. Padres are now 8-0 this season when they have at least 4 hits with RISP. How about this? The 6 games before last night, the Padres only had 5 hits total with runners in scoring position. So last night, much better in that category. Got to keep it rolling here today. And key number 4, keep this Braves offense cold. The Braves offense has put together just 1 run in each of the last 3 games. They had 1 run on 4 hits last night. Some really surprising numbers here. I almost couldn't believe these when I read them. Through April 26th, the Braves were averaging a major league best 6 runs per game. Since April 27th, they're averaging a league low 2.9 runs per game. The Braves have a major league worst 592 OPS since April 27th. With the names in this lineup, Acuna, Albies, Ozuna, Olsen, that is shocking. Braves offense has not been good for a few weeks, so don't let today be the day, this doubleheader, where the Braves offense gets going. That's key number 4, and that's a look at our keys to the game. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez, plus we take a much deeper look at today's pitching matchup, including right-hander Dylan Cease. First pitch coming up at 9:20 in Atlanta on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 9:20, Game 1 of this doubleheader in Atlanta. I'll check in with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez in just a moment, but first, let's tell you what to watch for in today's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game. The power of the Crone Zone. Jake Cronenworth has 6 home runs in his past 65 at-bats, a span of 17 games. His first inning home run last night pulled him into a tie with Fernando Tatis Jr. for the team lead in home runs. Cronenworth now has 8 home runs this season. He leads the Padres with 19 extra base hits. Remember, Jake only had 10 home runs last year, so he's 2 away from tying that total. It continues to be a real bounce-back season for Jake Cronenworth. What does he continue to do today, in the days, weeks to come? That's what to watch for in today's game. Well, last week at Petco Park, I had a really good conversation with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez. We've played parts of it throughout the last handful of days, although what we're about to play coming up, we have not aired yet. And Victor had a long playing career. It started in 1977 in the minor leagues at the age of 15. He played until 1995, had a couple of stints in the major leagues as well. Victor Rodriguez talking about his playing career with me, also talking about Jake Cronenworth. Thought it was a good time to revisit those comments based on what Jake continues to do. Vic had a couple of cups of coffee in the major leagues, once in 1984 with the Orioles, then 1989 with the Twins, but a long, successful playing career, again, from the mid-70s until the mid-90s. Really, really good conversation last week with Victor Rodriguez at Petco Park. Here was Vic on his playing career and more.
Well, you know, we started real young at the age of 15 and went through Bluefield, West Virginia, and really play all over the place, and ended up with the Boston Red Sox, and that's after 19, 20 years playing, and got a chance to get out of playing and becoming a coach like right away. So, you know, that's been my life, baseball, from the age of 15 until now.
When you think about your playing career, how does that shape what you do now, helping these hitters at the major league level?
Well, I think hitting is a very fun things to do, very difficult to do, and I think because of that, I always gravitate towards hitting because not only the chance to make a difference as a hitting coach, but a chance to really get to know the players and the relationship that I have created because of the time you spend in the cage with players. It's been very, very thankful that I got that opportunity beside helping them in the cage. The relationship I had a lifetime with them. So that's the fun part about being a hitting coach.
And hitting is so difficult when you see a guy able to make adjustments, have success based on something that maybe you worked on behind the scenes. What's that feeling like when you see a guy go out there, make some adjustments, and have success?
You know, it's a very satisfying sensation when you say something or you remind something, because at this level you have the chance to work with good hitters and very good hitters, especially in this team in which you have a lot of all-stars, a lot of good hitters. It's a chance to remind them of things they have done and how they did it so they get to going in the right direction, and maybe adjustment here and there that you can see it in game changes and you see the results. So that's the satisfaction part of the game.
Coming into this season, Jake Cronenworth was aiming to have a bounce-back season early on. It really has been for him. What adjustments has he made, and what has been the key to his success so far?
Cronenworth, we always knew he was a good player, and he is a good player. So, with him, getting to know him first, getting him to know me and getting him to trust me, and we have done some stuff, but I think you got to give credit to him. Yeah. The willingness to do things differently to get him in a good place, and I think Crony is a very professional player, very very respectful with his preparation, and I think we made some couple changes just to put him in a good position to be on time, and he's taking off. He's very loyal to his preparation. He stick with it, and I think that's part of the success that he's having. He's not searching. He understands the things, the routines, the movement of his body that he needs to have success, and he's sticking with it.
That was Padres hitting coach Vic Rodriguez last week at Petco Park. Some really good stuff there from Vic on his playing career, how that impacts the way he works with hitters nowadays, and some good stuff there on Jake Cronenworth as well. Couple of tweets to get to here. We've got to R enjoying Padres baseball this morning, listening on the radio while enjoying what looks like a photo of a protein shake. R, it looks really good. We've got Seraphim Evans tuned in from work on the Gulf Coast, listening with one headphone. Nice selfie, nice Padre hat. Appreciate you tuning in on this Monday morning for Game 1 of today's doubleheader in Atlanta. Let's break down our pitching matchup between Reynaldo Lopez and Dylan Cease.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Right-hander Dylan Cease, the 28-year-old, back in his home state of Atlanta, Georgia, grew up a half hour away from Atlanta in the town of Milton, Georgia. He's made one start in Atlanta during his time with the White Sox. That was last July, went 5 innings, 1 earned run given up in a White Sox win. Here in 2024, Cease is 5-3, a 2.45 ERA in 9 starts, 55 innings, 68 strikeouts, 17 walks. Cease has the lowest opponent batting average of any pitcher in baseball right now at 141. He ranks second in WHIP at 078. He also ranks top 10 in strikeouts. Coming off a start last week against the Rockies, 5 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs given up, 5 hits. He struck out 8. His 2 starts before that against the Diamondbacks and Cubs, 13 2/3 combined innings, 4 hits, 20 strikeouts. The arsenal for Cease, the four-seam fastball, the slider primarily, also mixes in the knuckle curve, the sweeper, and the cutter. On the mound for Atlanta, right-hander Reynaldo Lopez. The 30-year-old, signed by the Braves this past offseason to a 3-year, $30 million deal, had mostly been a reliever the past few seasons. Braves have made him a starter again. Results have been really good. So far this year, Lopez, 2-1, a 1.34 ERA in 7 starts, 40-plus innings. He struck out 40, walked 16. He's given up just 6 earned runs through his first 7 starts of the season. He joins Hall of Famers Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux, along with Mike Soroka and Max Fried, as the only Braves pitchers to hold opponents to 6 earned runs or less in their first 7 starts of a season. Last start against the Cubs, he was good once again. 5 innings, no earned runs given up on 2 hits. He's made 1 career appearance against the Padres. That was out of the bullpen with the White Sox for just 1 inning in 2022. Hitters are batting .065 against him with runners in scoring position. That's the lowest opponent batting average in those situations among starters in the majors with at least 5 outings. And the arsenal for Lopez, the four-seam fastball, the slider, he uses those primarily, also mixes in the curve and the changeup. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup. Reynaldo Lopez on the mound for the Braves, Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at ecowatersocal.com. SoCal.com. Padres come in with a record of 24-24. Braves are 26-16. It's been a good series so far in Atlanta. Padres winning on Friday, winning on Sunday. What's in store? A doubleheader here today? We're going to find out. When we come back, Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game show. You're listening to your home for Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, it's your